Hello everyone, this is Boy King Killa, and today we are going to be doing a Creepypasta reading. This is actually going to be a big change for me. I couldn't really find any good Creepypastas for this week, and so I can't even remember what day it is right now. I will be doing a reading of Stubb's Clubhouse, which is about a TV program that is no longer around. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Stubb's Clubhouse. I had an awesome childhood. Like most kids growing up in the 90s, my TV schedule consisted mostly of SpongeBob, Power Rangers, and Transformers. For the most part, I wasn't into really kiddie shows like Barney or Mr. Rogers or anything like that. But the other day, I was talking with my mom about when I was a little kid. At one point during the conversation, she brought up the topic of an old TV show I sometimes watched. It was called Stubb's Clubhouse. I was unaware of the show she was referring to at first, but then the memories came flying back. I remembered it so clearly, almost instantly. Basically, Stubb's Clubhouse was a cheesy, low-budget kid show starring a clown named Stubb. He had a rainbow-colored jacket, a hat, and if my memory serves right, he wore black pants with stars on them. The show was kind of a rip-off of Pee-wee's Playhouse. Even I, as a young kid, could tell you that. Basically, Stubb lived in a big clubhouse, which, strangely enough, looked just like a normal house. I assume that was due to how low their budget was. Stubb had a group of friends who lived in the playhouse with him. I don't remember much, but I vaguely remember a poodle and a man in a really badly made elephant costume. Like I said, I don't remember much about the show. I didn't watch it very much, mainly for two reasons. One, it aired at a very strange and late time, around 10:30, which is bizarre for a kids show. And two, it only aired on a really obscure channel called Channel Bebo, which only aired shows for about 3 years. Then the channel was shut down for unknown reasons. The only other thing I remember about the show was the theme song, which was sung by a woman who sounded like she was half asleep while singing it. And the background music was played entirely on xylophone. In around November of 2006, I had just turned 14. This was a few days after the conversation with my mom, and I decided to treat myself to a little trip to half-price books. See, I like half-price books more than Barnes & Noble because you can find older books and movies there, as opposed to the up-to-date stuff at B&N. So I was browsing through the videotapes, searching for a tape of one of my favorite shows, Street Sharks, a show about anthropomorphic sharks that fought crime. I was going through the tapes in alphabetical order, and I just reached the S section when something caught my eye. It was a tape labeled Stubb's Clubhouse. The case had no logo or picture to indicate it was Stubb. It was just a plain blank case that had a piece of tape on the side with Stubb's Clubhouse written on it in black Sharpie. I was still kind of curious about this show that I barely remembered, and plus I couldn't find Street Sharks, so I decided to buy Stubb. It was pretty cheap, even for a half-price books tape, being only 75 cents, but hey, it was a bargain. I took it to the checkout counter. The woman working there looked at the tape and then stared at me. She timidly asked, "Are you sure you want to buy this tape?" I politely said yes, and she rung it up. I went home and got out my VCR and hooked it up to the TV in the living room, where my 6-year-old sister, Emily, was playing with Barbies. She asked me what I was doing, and I told her that I had gotten a tape at half-price books that we could watch together. I put the tape in, and the standard copyright infringement warning message came up as usual. The tape started at the theme song of the first episode, complete with xylophone music and a sleepy singer. The episode started out in the clubhouse where Stubb introduced himself and told the viewers that they were going on a field trip. There was a very bad rough cut to a playground in the middle of a grassy park. There was a group of small children about as old as my sister, playing on a merry-go-round. Stubb walked up to them and they all ran to give him hugs. After that, Stubb looked at the camera and asked if the kids at home would like to play too. As assumed, Emily piped up, saying, "Yes!" And Stubb replied, "Alrighty-yo! Then come on down to the playground and play with me!" Emily asked me if she could go to the playground with Stubb, but I told her that this was filmed. However, I saw something interesting out of the corner of my eye. We have a playground in our neighborhood about a block from our house, but close enough that we can see it from our living room window. It took me a second to make the connection, but it hit me that the playground in the video was the same as the playground in our neighborhood. Then it hit me even harder. The same children in the show were playing on our playground right now. They were wearing the same clothes, and they were in the video, and they were performing the exact same actions, almost as if the video were being filmed live. Then I noticed something that disturbed me greatly. In the video, one of the children was holding Stubb's hand, and when I looked out the window, that same child was making a motion like he was holding someone's hand, but there was no one there. I was shocked. I immediately ejected the tape, much to Emily's sadness, as she was beginning to grow fond of the show. I took the tape and threw it in the garbage. I thought I was done with Stubb's Clubhouse, but I was wrong. The next day, when Mom picked Emily up from kindergarten, Emily told me that Stubb had been following their car driving in a black van. She said she had looked out the back window and saw Stubb behind the wheel of the van. She told me that she had told Mom, but Mom didn't see any cars or vans whatsoever in her rearview mirror. Emily told me she was confused and somewhat worried. I told her not to worry and try to relax and let the adults handle the situation. That night, I went against my best judgment and decided to fish the tape out of the trash and watch episode 2. The theme song started, but something was wrong. The xylophone was very distorted, and the woman's voice was a lot deeper and a bit messed up as well. The title came up again and the colors were more dull, the being composed of shades of brown and gray, rather than the usual bright red and yellow. I decided to brush it off as a messed up tape and continued watching. It roughly cut to a still image of Stubb staring at the camera. After a while, I realized that it wasn't a still image. It was a video of Stubb sitting motionless and staring directly at the viewer. Stubb would periodically turn his head as if cracking his stiff neck, but he would never blink. He did this entire episode, which lasted around 20 minutes. But right before the episode ended, Stubb closed his eyes tightly while still staring, and then he opened them to reveal pitch black eyes. Nothing but inky blackness within his sockets. Suddenly the tape cut to a picture of a house. My house. I frantically ejected the tape once more and stuck it in a drawer. I looked out the window at where the cameraman would have been, but there was neither anyone nor a trace of anyone there. I tried to go to sleep that night, but I just couldn't. I ended up sneaking downstairs in the middle of the night and sitting in the kitchen all night with the light on and a huge supply of caffeinated drinks. The morning soon came, and I was safe for a while. Unexpectedly, the rest of the day went off with no strange occurrences. Emily didn't see Stubb following them in his van, which was an enormous relief and a bit of hope that this might be over. But that night, I woke up in what could be described as conscious sleepwalking. Meaning, I got up in the middle of the night and did something while being fully conscious and aware, but still drawn to the thing by some urge. I subconsciously took the tape from the drawer and placed it back in the VCR. I sat down on the couch and suddenly awoke from my sleep. I noticed I was on the couch about to watch the tape. I wanted to take the tape out and go back upstairs, but a strange urge or force told me I needed to watch the final episode. Episode 3. The opening started, and this time it was totally different. The xylophone had been replaced with loud banging, and the voice had now become a deep, demonic-sounding voice, singing lyrics in a language I couldn't understand. The title came up, and the title card looked like it had been slashed by the claws of a large animal. When the episode turned on, Stubb was sitting at a table with some children. He asked the children if they wanted to play a game, and they eagerly said yes. Stubb reached under the table and revealed a large carving knife. He asked one of the children to place their arm on the table. A small girl did, and Stubb said, Tell me how it feels. He then began to slowly slice a thin layer of flesh off the girl's arm like he was peeling a potato. Blood immediately began to flow, and the room was filled with the sound of the girl's screams. The other children didn't run, they just watched, calmly, as if they wanted to actually see the rest. He asked the girl, Doesn't it feel happy? Stubb continued to slice layer after layer of flesh from the girl's arm. He hit bone. The girl was wailing like a banshee at this point, and I was in absolute shock. I felt like I would violently throw up at any moment. The girl's arm was drenched in blood, which had spilled onto the table and created a puddle on the tabletop. Stubb started laughing in a happy, clown-like way, and the video ended. However, it then cut to another video. It was a video of Emily's bedroom. Right now, she was sound asleep, standing over her bedside and looking down at her was Stubbs. Suddenly, he looked at the camera with inky black eyes in his sockets. Well, that was Stubb's Clubhouse, everyone, and honestly, it actually sends a chill up my spine. This creepypasta actually makes me nervous because I think, if I remember right, there was a Channel Bebo at one point, but I don't remember. If I recall right, the channel aired a series of TV shows. One was dealing with, most shows were educational. One was dealing with kids that everything they wrote came true, sort of like that out of Alan Wake, which was a psychological horror video game series. But yeah, this creepypasta, I'll leave a link to it down below for you guys. It's well worth the watch, and it's very, very creepy. Read it at your own pace and at your own discretion, because it's one of those creepypastas that when you read it, it's gonna mess with your mind a bit. Like, I don't know what the hell is going on. I think that Stubbs is a demon, but I could be wrong. I really hope the author of this creepypasta makes a sequel, because it makes me wonder what happened after Stubbs looked at the camera. Like, did he kill Emily, or did he just carve up like her arm from the video, or did the main character manage to go in and save her at the last moment? Yeah, this has been Creepypastas, and we just finished reading Stubb's Clubhouse. Please comment and tell me what you would change. Like, favor, and subscribe. I will see you all later. Have a wonderful day. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day, everyone.